I think the art of writing full-fledged themes, the beginning, middles, and ends, you know, where you have an A part and it goes to a B part, back to the A part again, just is not happening anymore. Themes are now just basically, you know, they're snippets of themes, because the nature of films also, they move so fast that there's not time for like a Dances with Wolves or Out of Africa, where you're basically just pasting this theme you've written over long sequences or vistas. Fantastic Four is a film I actually fought to get on, but I knew some people, the producer who had worked on X-Men with me, so I had that relationship. So I tried hard to get onto that film. And then, like I normally do, before I even saw the film, I started writing a theme. I knew already it was sort of like X-Men light, so I wanted to have a fun but heroic superhero theme. So I wrote that and then presented it to the executives, and they loved it, and the director, Tim Story, and I just basically used that as my basis for the score. I always tell young composers this, or young editors this, and agents, they want something to market you on, which is the last successful thing you did. So I try to tell young people that I can experience this myself. Agents really don't care about you until you have something that they can market. And it's not your talent, it's the thing you just did. So-and-so just did this hit film, or so-and-so just did this film that's hot at Sundance. Now they have something they can bring up that I guess excites producers or other directors. And so only then usually are they going to go out of their way and try to find you work. That's just the way it works. If it's on a really massive film with a tremendous amount of music, and I'm also the film editor, I will seek help from some partners that I can give a cue to. A cue is a piece of music in a film, and have them work on something under my direction and so forth. But I don't tend to be one who has a factory of composers, because I'm sort of old school. It took me a while to come around, understand you can work with other people, because I always felt it was sort of wrong for a composer to have other composers working on their score. It just seems like a shameful thing to think of Jerry Goldsmith or John Williams working with other composers. The new reality, is that the speed at which films go and the changes that occur and so forth, and the amount of music, that sometimes you just need some help. And that's the risk of having basically a factory mentality for writing a film score as opposed to boutique personal identification. And that's why I think when you went to see movies in the past, you knew that was a John Barry score, you knew that's a John Williams score, you know it's a Jerry Goldsmith score. No matter how prolific they are and how many styles they do, you can feel and you know it's them. But when you have a team of people working for you, you might lose that signature, and they no longer will go, oh, that's a John Ottman score. It might not sound that way anymore. So, and also that depends on how well you direct the people that you're working with as well. But there's just something about you being at the keys and molding the clay. Whether you're an editor or a composer, it's the same thing. You can direct creatively, but those two things, there's nothing like you actually being at the clay. With film music, it's finished and it's on the film, and you hope it's mixed in a way where it's presented the way you envision it. I mean, it can be destroyed by sound effects, it can be played too loud where that wasn't the idea. So you're sort of at the mercy of how it's going to be mixed into the film, But once that's done, then of course it also exists on a CD or download for people to listen to. And then come the reactions to your score, and sometimes it's kind of crazy because the reviews of your score are reviewing the music unrelated to what its job was doing on the picture. And so you might write the most brilliant thing that transformed a film, but it may be the most boring thing to listen to on a CD, but that wasn't your job. And so I like to think that when I write, I do kind of music where it stands on its own as well, for the most part, and because I come from that old school. But nevertheless, there were scores I've done. For instance, Valkyrie I thought, it really did give it was the soul of that picture in many ways, and it was the it was the pulse of the film. A lot of times you didn't really even hear it that well, and that was the intention. But on the CD, a lot of the cues, as cool as they were, I think, they weren't really, you know, these thematic, fun things to listen to, and so people would go, but I did write this one piece of music that was in the end titles of Valkyrie, which was this very choral, very beautiful piece of music that I felt was appropriate to end the film with. The CD reviews were like, why can't more of the music be like that? Well, because if I put that music on the film, it would not have worked, you know. So the reviews of scores is very bizarre. You know, now if you're reviewing a score based upon watching the film, that's a review that makes more sense. So if I'm happy with my work and I know what I did and I know what I went through and what I accomplished for the film, even though no one else may know that, I feel satisfied. You know, if you get accolades for it and rewarded for it, that's just icing on the cake, as in the case of Bohemian Rhapsody. You know, and that was specifically satisfying only because, as is pretty well known, you know, there was no director in post, and so because I held that thing together with no one around except for 2 producers I worked with, that was a particularly satisfying win for me, because it was a massive project to shape.